More than 400 people were killed and 265 wounded in an airstrike by Pakistan on a drug rehabilitation center in Kabul. A spokesperson of the Afghan Taliban government said on Tuesday. In the deadliest incident since fighting between the two began in October last year. Pakistan rejected the statement as false and misleading and said it had precisely targeted military installations and terrorist support infrastructure on Monday night. The airstrike on Kabul came hours after China said it was ready to continue mediating efforts to ease tensions and urged both states to return to negotiations. Mediation efforts by Qatar, Turkey and Saudi Arabia had previously failed. Amir Khan Muttaqi, the Taliban's foreign minister, said Afghanistan had lost trust in Pakistan's intentions regarding a diplomatic solution. According to a statement from his office, the conflict is the worst between the South Asian Islamic neighbors, who share a 2.600-kilometer, 1.600-mile border. Hamdullah Fitrat, the deputy spokesman for the Taliban, said in a post on X the airstrike took place at 9 p.m. 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Monday and targeted the state-run Omid Hospital, which he said was a 2.000-bed drug rehabilitation center. The Pakistani Information Ministry said Omid Hospital was miles away from Camp Phoenix, the military terrorist ammunition and equipment storage site that it said was targeted. The visible secondary detonations after the strikes clearly indicate the presence of large ammunition depots. Pakistani Information Minister Atullah Tara said in a post on X. Kabul residents, including a Reuters journalist, said Camp Phoenix, an abandoned NATO military base in the city, was converted into a drug treatment center about a decade ago, and locals referred to it as Omid Camp, or Camp of Hope, although its official name was IBN Sina Drug Addiction Treatment Hospital. It was this center that had been hit, they said, adding that Omid Hospital and Omid Camp were not related. Fighting between the former close allies intensified last month with Pakistani airstrikes in Afghanistan that Islamabad said hit Afghanistan's military and militant strongholds. Islamabad says Kabul provides a safe haven to militants launching attacks on Pakistan. The Taliban deny the allegation, saying tackling militancy is Pakistan's internal problem. At the site of the airstrike, a blackened single-story structure bore the marks of flames. In other places, buildings were reduced to heaps of wood and metal, with only a few bunk beds still intact in some, while blankets, personal belongings and bedding were strewn about. Afghan Interior Ministry spokesman Abdul Mateen Kani said 408 people were killed and 265 wounded. Afghan authorities said they were taken to hospitals around Kabul, but did not give details of how casualties were counted. At least 102 bodies were taken to Kabul Forensic Medical Department, said another Taliban official Hafizullah Maroof. Those killed were mostly civilians and addicts, added Taliban spokesman Zabihullah Mujahid. Reuters could not verify the casualty numbers. Both sides have claimed to have inflicted heavy damage on the other during the conflict, but independent verification has not been possible. The Norwegian Refugee Council, an independent aid group, said its staff had seen large numbers of casualties. We visited the hospital treating addicts in Kabul this morning and found hundreds of civilians dead and injured, it said in a statement. Susan Ferguson, the UN Women's Special Representative in Afghanistan, told a UN briefing in New York by video link from Kabul that she drove past the site and the scene was devastating. There were many families there trying to find their loved ones, she said. An EU statement said civilian and medical facilities were protected under international law and called the strike another deadly escalation in a conflict that needs to end as soon as possible. The United Nations Assistance Mission in Afghanistan UNAMA said in a statement that dozens had been killed and injured and called for immediate de-escalation. Witnesses said they heard 3 bombs exploding just as people in the center were completing evening prayers. And that 2 of them struck rooms and patient areas. The whole place caught fire. It was like doomsday, said Ahmed, 50, who said he was under treatment at the facility and gave only his first name. My friends were burning in the fire, and we could not save them all. Mosharraf Zaidi, a spokesperson for Pakistan's Prime Minister, said on X that the Afghan reference to drug users being targeted was lies and Pakistan's counter-terrorism operations would continue for as long as it took to eliminate terrorists and their infrastructure. All military operations will continue till such time as there is a change in the behavior and the ground reality in Afghan Taliban regime-controlled territory. Zaidi told Reuters in an interview late on Tuesday. Zaidi said Pakistan conducted a total of 6 strikes on Afghanistan on Monday night, including at Camp Phoenix, which he said was used by the Afghan Taliban to train terrorists and store weapons. He declined to provide any estimate of casualties and said Pakistan would not engage with death toll figures reported by Afghan authorities or aid groups. China again appealed for restraint and called for the safety of Chinese personnel and interests in the region. Pakistan's arch-rival India, which has recently forged close ties with the Afghan Taliban, condemned the strike. The conflict had ebbed amid efforts by friendly countries including China to mediate, but flared again just days before the Eid al-Fitr festival that marks the end of the holy month of Ramadan.